Okay, hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're taking a good close look at some source material that tackles something I bet a lot of you who use AI for writing have run into.
Hmm.
It's that moment, right? You ask it to rewrite something, and what you get back is, well, it's just kind of flat.
Yeah.
Not really different, maybe just a bit cleaner.
Right.
Underwhelming. So, our deep dive today is into an article titled Forget Rewrite 15 AI Prompts for God Tier Writing by Max Emery. And it lays out some really powerful alternatives to that vague, overused rewrite command.
And the mission here for this deep dive is to really understand the why behind a common frustration, why rewrite often falls short.
Yeah.
Then we're going to dive deep into these 15 specific prompts the article identifies, extracting the core insights and practical takeaways from each.
Okay.
The goal is to give you concrete tools you can use right away to seriously level up your AI writing.
Yeah, exactly. Because I guess we've all felt that, right?
Oh, yeah.
You paste in your text, you type, rewrite this, and you get back something that's, grammatically fine, maybe, but it just feels like it's missing something. Soul, maybe.
Right. The source has a great way of putting this. It's like asking a master chef to remake this sandwich.
Huh?
You'll get back something technically well-made, sure, but it's completely uninspired. It lacks direction.
That's such a good analogy. And the article really digs into why that happens. It boils down to rewrite being just too vague, I guess.
Yeah, that's totally it. According to the source, think of AI as a prediction engine.
Hmm.
When you give it a vague command, like rewrite, it defaults to a safe, average prediction.
Ah.
It's trying to guess what you want, and the safest guess is usually just a slightly polished version of the original.
Playing it safe. And the article makes a pretty strong claim, like, if you're only using rewrite, you're probably tapping into maybe only 10% of what AI could actually do with your text.
That's the source's argument. Yeah. You're dramatically limiting its potential. The real power, they say, comes from providing extraordinary context.
Okay.
That's how you get extraordinary results.
Okay, let's unpack this a little. They use that analogy of a film director guiding an inexperienced but talented actor. The AI is the actor, and you are the director, telling it exactly what role to play, what emotion, what scene.
Precisely. You wouldn't just tell a brilliant actor to act.
Yeah.
You give them specific direction, character, background, motivations. The source breaks down what makes a truly great prompt into 3 essential elements.
Okay, what are they?
First, you need context or persona. Who should the AI be in this interaction? Who is the intended audience?
Right.
The source gives an example. You are a friendly marketing expert writing for beginners.
Gotcha.
Second, the specific task. What exactly do you want it to do? Like, simplify this complex technical description.
Okay.
And third, constraints or format. What are the rules? What's the desired style or output? Like, make it 2 short paragraphs using a conversational tone.
Okay, got it. So rewrite is just like a really blurry version of that second part, the task.
Exactly.
It completely misses the context and the constraints.
Exactly. It leaves the AI guessing on the most important details. The article then revealed these 15 prompts, which are essentially powerful shortcuts. They prepackage a specific effective task and often imply some context or constraints to guide the AI much better than rewrite.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's jump into the first group of prompts. These are focused on transforming the core content. Think changing length, depth, maybe adding narrative form.
Right.
First up is the expander. I feel like this is for when you've written a sentence and it just feels too thin, like it needs more meat on the bone.
Totally. The expander is your tool for those moments. Its core purpose is to add detail, context, and persuasion where a thought feels underdeveloped. The source's prompt is simple but effective. Expand on this simple sentence to explain it in more detail, providing context and benefits.
Ah, context and benefits, okay.
Yeah. They show a before example where a claim is just stated, and the after version explains how it helps and lists the benefits. It turns a weak statement into something much more compelling,
Right, so you'd use this when you have a heading you need to flesh out into a paragraph, or like when you're describing a feature but need to actually explain the benefit to the user.
Exactly. It forces the AI to build depth. And the pro tip from the source is to guide the expansion even further.
How so?
You can tell it what specific context or benefits to focus on, like expand on this, focusing on the benefits specifically for busy parents, or expand on this, adding a brief customer testimonial example.
Oh, that's good. More specific direction. Okay, moving on, we have the summarizer. In today's information overload world, this feels like a real superpower.
Oh, absolutely. The summarizer's goal is pure efficiency. Cut through the noise and extract the absolute core message. It's perfect for needing something concise, fast. The source's prompt is super direct. Summarize this text in one single concise sentence.
Just one sentence.
Yeah. Their before and after example is a great demonstration. It takes a paragraph full of steps and meetings and deliberation and just gives you the one key piece of information that actually matters.
Right.
The final decision.
Yeah.
Gets rid of all the fluff.
So you could use this for condensing long articles you've read, writing short bios, maybe summarizing meeting notes.
Or even crafting a really quick, accurate summary of a long email thread.
Oh, yeah.
The pro tip here is definitely controlling the output length and format. Don't just say summarize. Say summarize this in 3 key bullet points, or summarize this in under 50 words, or summarize this as a tweet.
Got it. Controlling the container. Now, the article makes a point that the condenser and all is different from summarize. How should we think about that distinction?
That's a key point from the source. Summarizing is about the core meaning, right? It's okay if it leaves out details as long as the main idea is there. Condensing, however, is about reducing word count while trying to retain as much of the original detail and nuance as possible.
Oh.
It's like trimming verbal fat without losing the muscle.
Okay.
The prompt reflects this. Condense this paragraph into one tight, efficient sentence without losing key information.
Without losing key information. That's the key part.
Exactly. Their example shows taking a slightly wordy sentence with phrases like various options or available to us and making it leaner and more direct. But the core facts are still there.
Ah, okay. So this is for editing existing sentences that are a bit verbose, or maybe when you need to meet a strict character or word limit without losing important facts.
Exactly. Making your writing tighter and more impactful sentence by sentence. The pro tip is to give it a specific target for reduction. Condense this paragraph to be under 50 words, or condense this sentence by 30% while keeping the core meaning.
Awesome. And for this first group, we have the storyteller. This one resonates, because humans are just like fundamentally wired for stories.
They really are. The storyteller's power is taking abstract points and making them memorable and relatable through narrative.
Yeah.
It uses the prompt. Illustrate this point about your abstract concept by adding a short, relatable anecdote or story.
I like that. Relatable.
Right. The source's before and after is great here. It shows how just stating good advice isn't as impactful as telling a short story that demonstrates that advice in action.
Totally.
Stories stick with people.
Totally. So use this in blog posts to make a point land, maybe speeches explaining product benefits in a more engaging way.
Or making complex educational content much more digestible and sticky. The pro tip. Guide the narrative's subject or tone.
Ah.
Illustrate this with a short story about a struggling artist, or add a brief, slightly humorous anecdote.
Nice. Okay, let's switch gears to the next group. These prompts are focused on clarity and understanding, essentially making your text easier for your audience to grasp.
Makes sense.
Number 5 is the simplifier. This is for when the language you're using or the source text is just way too complex for the people you're trying to reach, right?
Right. The simplifier intentionally dials down the vocabulary and sentence structure to a very basic level. It's ideal when your audience is very general, very young, or just completely new to a topic.
Okay.
The prompt is straightforward. Simplify this complex explanation so a 5th grader can easily understand it.
A 5th grader?
Yeah. Their example vividly shows this transformation, replacing jargon like biochemical process or autotrophic organisms with super simple everyday words like sunlight and make their own food.
Wow.
It makes complex ideas accessible to almost anyone.
So this is perfect for writing educational content for kids, explainer scripts for a wide audience, or anything where you need to strip away technical layers.
Exactly. And crucially, you can adjust that target level in the prompt.
Right.
It doesn't have to be 5th grade.
Right.
It could be simplify this for a high school student, or simplify this for someone with absolutely no background in technology.
That's really practical. Okay, next up is the clarity command. This sounds like the prompt you use when you've written something and you reread it and think, wait, is this actually clear? Or am I just used to my own jargon?
Haha. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
The source says this is for exactly that feeling. Or when someone has told you, I don't quite get what this means.
Yeah.
Its goal is to instantly untangle confusing jargon or overly complex sentences for a non-expert. The prompt is simple. Clarify this sentence to make it much easier for a non-expert to understand.
Okay.
The before and after they provide is so clear replacing enacted contingent on with the much, much simpler will start once.
Oh, huge difference.
Yeah. It demonstrates that immediate leap in accessibility.
This seems useful pretty much anytime you suspect confusion might arise, explaining technical concepts, internal communications, even clarifying something you read yourself before trying to explain it to someone else.
Totally.
Yeah.
It forces the AI to get rid of ambiguity.
Yeah.
And the pro tip is you can chain this.
Mm-hmm.
Like clarify this, then reframe it as a question to check understanding.
I like that combo idea. Okay, 7 is the metaphor changer. And metaphors are super powerful tools for explaining ideas, but sometimes you pick one that just doesn't quite land with your audience.
Right. Or maybe you want to explore a different angle. This prompt allows you to swap out an existing metaphor for a better or different one, potentially changing the accessibility or the emotional feel of your writing.
Interesting.
The sources prompt is quite detailed. Analyze the core concept in this text. Then, replace the existing metaphor with a new, more effective one. Explain why the new one is better.
Whoa, it explains why.
Yeah. What's cool here is the AI doesn't just give you a new metaphor like command center in their example.
Right.
It also provides a brief explanation of why that new metaphor might be better, linking it to concepts like organization or workflow.
Wow, so it's not just creativity, but also explaining the logic behind it. That's pretty neat. So use this when explanations aren't clicking, brainstorming different angles for a concept.
Yeah, finding more creative or relatable ways to describe things. The pro tip is to guide the AI's creativity.
Like how?
You could say, replace the metaphor with one related to cooking, or suggest 3 new analogies from different areas like sports, nature, or technology.
Okay, moving into the next section, these prompts are all about controlling the tone and voice, giving your text personality emotional texture.
Very important.
Prompt number 8, the Formalizer. This is when you gotta sound, serious, polished, authoritative.
Absolutely. This is your go-to for professional contexts. Think formal emails, reports, official announcements, academic writing. The prompt is simply, rewrite this message in a formal and professional tone.
Straightforward.
Yeah. Their before and after is a perfect example of instantly swapping casual slang for professional phrasing. It immediately signals respect and gravity.
Professional emails, reports. Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. Just a quick pro tip from the source.
Yeah.
Be careful not to make it too stuffy.
Ah, good point.
You can refine it by asking for formal but still approachable if you want to avoid sounding completely robotic.
Good point. Don't want to go from casual to cardboard. On the flip side, the Informalizer. Because knowing when to lighten up and be casual is just as important.
Totally. This is about sounding human, relatable, and easygoing. It's how you build rapport in less formal settings.
Right.
The prompt, make this sentence more casual and conversational.
Okay.
The source's example transforms a stiff sentence into something that sounds like a real person is talking.
Mm-hmm.
It uses contractions, similar words, a friendlier vibe.
Blog posts, social media captions, internal team chats.
Yeah.
Anywhere you want to sound like, yourself talking to a friend.
Yeah. And the pro tip here is fantastic. Give the AI a specific persona to lean into.
Ooh, okay.
Like, make this more casual, like a super enthusiastic fan sharing news with the community, or make this casual, but keep it encouraging.
Next, the Humanizer. This feels especially relevant when we're talking about AI, when writing might be technically correct, but it just feels cold or distant.
Yeah, it's about injecting warmth, empathy, personality,
Yeah.
building connection on an emotional level.
Definitely do.
The prompt is, humanize this statement so it feels more personal and empathetic.
Okay.
The source's before and after shows how a sterile, factual statement can be transformed into a promise of care and understanding just by using more empathetic language. It makes the reader feel seen and valued.
This seems critical for customer service responses, about us pages, anytime you need to build trust or rapport with someone reading your words.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It helps you avoid sounding robotic or uncaring. The pro tip is to guide the emotion you want to convey. Like, humanize this with a tone of deep reassurance and understanding, or humanize this to convey genuine excitement.
Number 11 is the Amplifier. For when you've got a sentence that's okay, but you need it to have, more impact, more punch.
Yeah, turning up the volume on key statements. It's about making phrases powerful and memorable so they stick with the reader.
Got it.
The prompt, amplify this sentence to make it sound more powerful and impactful.
Okay.
Their example uses stronger adjectives and adverbs faster than you'd expect. Difference almost right away. To take a relatively weak claim and turn it into a confident, attention-grabbing statement.
This is for headlines, taglines, introduction sentences that need to grab attention, conclusions that need to resonate.
Exactly. When you need a key message to really land hard.
Sure.
The source's pro tip, though, is crucial. Use this strategically.
Right.
Not every sentence needs to be amplified, or it just becomes noise or sounds like pure hype.
True.
You can also temper it. Amplify this, but keep it grounded and professional.
Good reminder. Okay, and 12, the modernizer.
Because language totally evolves, right?
Yeah.
Phrasing that sounded normal maybe 10 years ago can now sound kind of stuffy or dated.
It really can. The modernizer updates old text to sound current, clear, and natural for today's context.
The prompt is specific. Modernize this phrase to sound current, clear, and natural for a 2025 business context.
Okay, 2025 context, specific.
The before and after they show is perfect. It replaces outdated corporate jargon with language that feels much more modern, friendly, and collaborative, much more like how people actually communicate now.
Updating old documents, website copy that feels dusty, maybe even refining your own writing if you tend to lean on old-fashioned phrasing.
Precisely. And, just like the Formalizer, specify the context. Modernize this for a casual team chat, or modernize this for a friendly but professional email.
Okay, on to the final group of prompts. These alter the perspective or the logical foundation of the text.
All right, final stretch.
13 is the paraphraser. This seems like a pretty foundational tool, especially for things like academic work or just making sure your content is original.
It totally is. Paraphrasing is the skill of taking an idea expressed in one set of words and expressing it entirely in new words while keeping the essential meaning the same. It's fundamental for citing sources correctly and avoiding plagiarism, but also just for restating ideas in fresh ways. The prompt, paraphrase this so it's completely original but keeps the essential meaning.
Okay.
The sources before and after clearly shows the same core idea presented with completely different vocabulary and sentence structure. It's that same meaning, totally new words outcome.
So citing sources, coming up with unique descriptions, or just rephrasing a sentence that feels clunky without losing the point.
Yeah. And the pro tip for getting a really thorough rephrasing, add instructions to explicitly change both the sentence structure and the vocabulary.
Be explicit about changing both. Okay. Now, number 14, the reframer. The article says this is more profound than paraphrasing. It changes the entire perspective.
It does. This is a powerful, persuasive technique. It's not just restating the idea. It's about shifting the angle to focus on the reader. You frame the information in terms of their needs, their desires, highlighting the direct benefit or feeling for them. The prompt. Reframe this from the reader's point of view, highlighting the direct benefit or feeling for them.
Okay, so really focusing on the what's in it for me for the reader.
Exactly. The sources before and after is a fantastic illustration. It takes text that's focused on describing a company or product and reframes it to focus entirely on what that means for the user. It answers the reader's unspoken question, why should I care?
Wow. Okay, this is clearly huge for marketing and sales copy, writing cover letters, persuasive essays. Anytime you're trying to convince someone to see things your way by showing them how it benefits them.
Precisely. It's about connecting with the audience on a deeper level. And the pro tip is to be specific about the reader's mindset.
Blake.
Reframe this for a busy executive who only cares about ROI. Or reframe this for a skeptical audience concerned about privacy.
Okay, the last one. 15, the argument stress tester. Turning AI into, like, a critical thinking sparring partner. That sounds pretty cool.
It really is. This prompt leverages AI to help you strengthen your persuasive writing by actively identifying and anticipating potential objections or weaknesses in your argument. The source breaks this prompt down into 3 clear parts. 1, identify the primary argument in the text. 2, identify 3 strongest potential counter-arguments or weaknesses. And 3, suggest improvements to address those counter-arguments.
Wow, okay, that's quite specific.
Yeah. The before and after demonstrates the AI acting as a red team, pointing out exactly where your argument might be vulnerable, and then giving you concrete suggestions on how to reinforce it, making your overall case much stronger and more credible.
This seems incredibly useful for persuasive essays, business proposals, preparing for presentations where you'll face questions, or even prepping for a debate.
Absolutely. It's like having a built-in devil's advocate. And the pro tip suggests asking the AI to adopt a specific persona for the critique.
Oh, cool.
Adopt the persona of a potential investor and identify the weaknesses in this funding proposal.
Okay, so we've walked through all 15 of these prompts, and the article notes that the real magic, the God-tier level stuff, happens when you start combining these, right?
Absolutely. The source calls it chaining prompts, using these specific commands as building blocks for much more complex tasks.
Chaining, I like that.
Yeah. They give a great example, workflow. Imagine you have a dense technical paragraph you need to turn into a warm, engaging social media post.
Okay.
Instead of just hitting rewrite, you could chain several prompts. First, clarify the technical text, then summarize the core idea, then humanize it, maybe amplify a key benefit, and finally, informalize it for the platform.
Oh, wow, that makes so much sense. Instead of just hoping that one vague rewrite command somehow knows to do all those things, you're giving the AI a clear step-by-step process, surgical precision.
Exactly. It's infinitely more powerful and yields much more tailored results than relying on that single ambiguous rewrite button.
So I guess the big takeaway from this article is pretty clear. Rewrite is vague, it's old school, it's limiting.
Yeah.
To get better, more sophisticated results from AI writing, you need to give it better, more specific input. And these 15 prompts, they're your essential toolkit for that.
That's totally it. And the source's final point really drives this home. These prompts help you shift from being a passive requester, just asking for a tweak, to becoming an active director of your AI collaborator.
Directory, yeah.
You're consciously shaping the text with purpose, guiding its voice, ensuring clarity, and adding power where needed.
That's a much more active role.
Exactly. They suggest, don't feel like you have to memorize all 15 at once. Just start small. Pick one or two that feel relevant to a writing challenge you're facing right now and try them out.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Just experiment. It feels like even just trying one or two of these could totally change how you approach AI writing.
It feels like unlocking a whole new level of control.
It is wild, isn't it? How just changing your input, changing your prompt can make such a massive difference in the output you get.
Huge difference.
Like it completely shifts your role from just asking for a slight tweak to actually directing the creative process with the AI as your tool.
Right. Which leads to a fascinating thought. What's fascinating here is, if mastering these specific prompts truly makes you a director of AI writing, it raises a key question for the human writer. What are the most important creative or strategic skills that you, the human, need to bring to that partnership? What's the indispensable human piece in this collaboration? Something to think about.
Yeah, that's a really good point. What do you bring to the director's chair?
Exactly.
Well, that was a super insightful deep dive into leveling up our AI writing game. Thanks for unpacking all that with me.
Always a pleasure. Learned a lot myself.
And thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.